what is the first thing you want to say? What is the most important thing you think we should be saying right this morning coming out of what we saw last night?
Well, I think that, honestly speaking, I think the most important thing is that organizations win championships just as much as players. I mean, when you look at the fact that you have an owner in Joe Lacob that does not mind doling out the dollars and paying and doing whatever's necessary to get the assets that a superstar like Steph Curry would need in order to capture championships, you just can't say enough about the job that he's done. Keeping Bob Myers in tow. He's one of the great executives in this game today. Some of the decisions that he's made and didn't make, believing in this team and watching it carry on through, that has to be said. Steve Kerr. I mean, we all know that Mark Jackson is a great coach that should still be coaching in the NBA, but we can't frown upon the fact that Joe Lacob made the decision to go in the direction of Steve Kerr many years ago. And all Steve Kerr has done is guide them to 5 straight NBA Finals appearances, 3 championships, and 6 appearances in 8 years. And the only 2 years that they were out of the mix was because Klay Thompson was down and out and completely out of the game. And the only reason they did not three-peat was because Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson got hurt in that NBA Finals. When you look at it from the top on down, they are the gold standard by a mile. There is nobody in the modern era of the National Basketball Association that compares to the Golden State Warriors from top to bottom in terms of what they do, how they do it, and the results that they ultimately register. There's no way around it, and I just think that that's what we got to look at. So many times we look at players, and we look at players wanting to make certain decisions or what have you. The coach matters. Management matters. And that's what Golden State has. They have management, they have the coach, and they have the players.
That's right. And so, Charles, we have some tough graders on our set that I work with, people hesitant to throw out the word dynasty. In your opinion, Charles Barkley, does this Warriors team now, does it deserve the term dynasty?
Well, 4 in 8 years, dynasty. Because what's scary, they could actually win with Kuminga, Wiseman.
Mm-hmm.
They could actually be dangerous for the next 5 years. So I'm not going to say 4 in 8 years. They just had a run. 4 and 6 to me would be a dynasty. But I want to piggyback on something Stephen A. said. Man, you got to give Bob Myers a lot of credit. Because when they made the Wiggins trade, I don't think a lot of people thought that was going to be like a game changer. It turned out to be a game changer. You're going out to get Otto Porter Jr. But to me, you got to give Bob Myers a lot of credit. Because let me tell you something. When they got Wiggins, I'm like, I got to see how this thing play out. And Wiggins was fantastic all year. He when Klay came back, he kind of went in a little bit of a slump, but he then became a defensive stopper. But to me, he won a couple of games for them, and his defense on Jason Tatum was phenomenal. And like I say, last night, Otto Porter played fantastic. So to give Stephen A. some credit, what he said, man, you got to give the Warriors upper echelon management a lot of credit. They made some great trades. I mean, obviously you got the guys who are terrific on the top end, but to piggyback with Wiggins and Otto Porter, man, give Bob Myers a lot of credit.
Go ahead, Stephen A. Put a final word on it.
What I'm not going to do is give Charles Barkley credit for them damn glasses. You don't wear them at night. What you wearing them in the morning for? I mean, what's going on? I mean, I don't know what the hell is up with those glasses. I mean, I'm looking like I'm looking at a different Chuck.
Stephen A., I can't see without glasses, man. Leave me alone. Don't be calling me. Hey, kids, if you can't see, wear glasses. Don't let people make fun of you. You need to be able to see. I can't see.
Well, if you can't see, why the hell you are? So you on the air at night, blind, during the NBA season? Because I don't see you wearing them at night. When you on TNT, what the hell you wearing them in the morning for?
Because we're not reading a teleprompter, Stephen A. We're just talking about the game.
Which is why you don't need glasses.
What is happening?
I want y'all putting all this reason.
let me get Monica, and a quick question here, because Charles brings up an interesting point. And by the way, Andrew Wiggins comes indirectly from Kevin Durant, the sign and trade to the Nets, which turned into D'Angelo Russell, which turned into not only Andrew Wiggins, but also Jonathan Kuminga. Are they the favorites to win it next year? In your mind, Monica, are the Warriors now, is this just the middle, not the end, but the middle of what we are watching?
I do think it's the middle. I mean, Steph continues to show that he is constantly working on his body. We see it. We're seeing guys playing longer. I think there's more return to Clay of old still to come as he continues to get more back to form with that Achilles injury. Draymond clearly isn't going anywhere. And then we keep mentioning the guys that are now around them that now have the opportunity to grow. And just like Stephen A. said, the organization is going to develop those guys. That's what they did. That's why for most of us, they were sort of off the radar because Jordan Poole, oh, cool, whatever. But look at what they have become.
No, you know what? Listen, I'm not going to disrespect them. They're going to be the defending champs, but I'm not going to jump the gun and just crown them just yet. I want to see our league next year healthy, because I'm going to tell you one team that comes to mind right now is the Los Angeles Clippers, with a healthy Kawhi Leonard, a healthy Paul George, the additions that they added, and we know that when it comes down to coaching, Tyronn Lue is one of the best in the game when it comes to getting the best out of players. So I'm not going to jump the gun. I want to see how the league is going to shape up, because one could say if Chris Middleton was healthy, that the Boston Celtics wouldn't have been there anyway. Yeah. So
Hold it.
No, I'm not holding up
That
nothing.
first take. Wait a minute.
You're going to sit up there and say, if Chris Middleton were healthy, right, then Boston might not have beaten them. But the year earlier when we brought up, well, if Kyrie didn't get hurt and KD didn't have a size, he had a size 12 instead of a size 13, Milwaukee wouldn't have even made it there. And you got on us about that.
So what? So what? And fix your body language. Fix your body language and your tone. I'm not switching it because we're not even talking about.
Maybe if you want,
let's jump right into it. We are talking about Steph Curry and legacy, and as one of the all-time greats yourself, what does this championship and this Finals MVP mean for Steph Curry?
That's a great question, Greeny. This is going to be painful for me to say. I think he passes Isaiah Thomas as the greatest small guard ever. That's just my personal opinion. For a championship, because Isaiah Thomas to me is the greatest little point guard ever. So I think for me, this pushes him past Isaiah Thomas as the greatest point guard, small point guard ever. I mean, Magic's in a different category, but as far as a pure point guard, this, to me, puts Isaiah Thomas.
You know, Charles, one of the things that we were talking about here earlier is, because this is a team that wins 4 in 8 years, and you were in the league, of course, and in one of those finals against Michael's Bulls, they're the last team to win that many in a concentrated period like that. And that team broke up in large part because of interpersonal relationships. It was just impossible to keep it together. And Michael, and we all love him, but Michael's personality might not have been the easiest for everyone around him to work. We saw that in The Last Dance. What does it say about Steph that this team seemed, every single one of those guys seemed as happy for him as he seemed for himself when he got it last night?
Well, I think for me, you talk about unselfish superstars. I think Tim Duncan and Steph are probably at the top of the list of guys they don't care who get the credit. They just want to win. I mean, when Tim turned the team over to Ginobili and Tony Parker and Kawhi Leonard, it was a smooth transition. You know, everybody, I love Steph's answer. Everybody's telling me, you finally get Finals MVP. And he said, man, I don't give a crap about that. This is our 4th championship. And to me, that's really, he didn't have to win MVP to move up on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. I mean, because he's been the best player on all of those teams. Well, KD's in that conversation also. But, KD wouldn't have been, and I'm not taking shots at KD, but KD wouldn't have been able to do what he did unless Steph kind of stepped out the way. You saw it broke up Kobe and Shaq. But when KD got there, Steph never complained one iota. He was happy to win back-to-back championships. So that says a lot about him.
He was a big part of that recruitment process. And Big Perk, let me come to you on that thought a moment, because we haven't mentioned the name Kevin Durant yet this morning. But when that game ended last night, we were waiting to go on and do some post-game. So I was flipping on Twitter, and the name Kevin Durant was trending the moment that game ended last night. What is the right thing to say about that factor in all of this morning, Big Perk?
You know what? I think is part of how he left this Warriors team and how he could have been a part of it, and they could win so many championships. But look, KD legacy is already stamped. Whether we want to question it or not, I know it would always be questioned because he went and joined that Warriors team. But of course, it's going to be trending. It's Kevin Durant. He left Steph Curry to go team up with Kyrie Irving. No matter how KD want to look at it, it's not looking good on him right now.
At this moment, and I can tell you, Charles, Stephen A., your buddy, said that to me over and over. I was sitting with him last night during the game, and in the final minutes, as Steph is crying and the whole world is celebrating him, that conversation came up a lot. KD made a decision to leave Steph Curry and team up with Kyrie Irving. What do we say about all that this morning, Charles Barkley?
Well, if you go back and look the way Odin Perkins' old head, listen, Kobe Bryant said, I had to win a championship without Shaq. LeBron James said, I had to win a championship without D. Wade and Chris Bosh. That's the way this thing works. Before KD gets that great respect from all the old heads, he's going to have to win a championship as the bus driver. Listen, he joined this, that team had already won a championship, so no disrespect, that's just a fact. The old guys like myself, hey, KD's an all-time hell of a player, but until he is the guy on a championship team, we're not going to ever give him the respect, that he probably deserves. And that's just the way it is. And like I say, the game hasn't changed. Kobe said it. LeBron said it. And so we're going to hold him to the same high standard. Kevin Durant, one of the best players we've ever had. But when he's been the leader of a team, when he had to lead a group of men, he has not been